daughter of Jamaica, pride of the Caribbean, and cultural ambassador to the world. She has worn the hats of poet, folklorist, playwright, songwriter, and recording artist.
Today we celebrate the birthday of the late Dr. Louise Bennett Coverley, popularly known as Miss Lou. She was born on September 7, 1919. Miss Lou dedicated her life to proudly spreading the Jamaican culture around the world through her poems and theatre. She was laid to rest on July 26, 2006, but remains alive and vibrant in the hearts of Jamaicans, young and old. Welcome to another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Stay tuned as we have lots in store for you today.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
I'm saying to every single Jamaican, you will decide how this pandemic ends. If you wear your mask, if you maintain the physical distance, and if you decide to take the vaccines when it is your time, the pandemic will end. But if in frustration or just ignorance, we do not take responsibility, then the pandemic could end badly, including the loss of more lives.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, September 7, 2021. The National Works Agency, NWA, is repairing critical roadways across the western region that were damaged during the recent flood rains. Approximately $80 million is being spent to patch and rehabilitate the worst affected sections of selected roadways. They include the Goodens River to Tollgate Roadway in Westmoreland, Shettlewood to Chester Castle in Hanover, Duncans to Long Pond in Trelawney, and the stretch of roadway between Barnet and Adelphi in St. James. These works are expected to be completed by the end of September. The National Water Commission, NWC, says it has restored 208 of 210 facilities that were impacted during the recent passage of Tropical Storm Grace. President Mark Barnett says the agency's facilities sustained damage amounting to $26 million. The plants were mainly affected by turbidity and electrical issues resulting from heavy rains and wind. According to Mr. Barnett, 2 facilities remain out of operation.
The worst was our Avery sewage treatment facility down in Old Harbour. And we also had damages both at Grace and also from Ida on our water supply line leading into Harbourview Bull Bay side, as well as some damage to the Yalas pipeline, which oftentimes is a very vulnerable infrastructure, and any incident of prolonged rainfall usually creates a very high risk for the end of the sea.
The Aviary sewage treatment plant will need $18 million in repairs, while the Yalas pipeline sustained $2 million in damage. Mr. Barnett adds that only 60 facilities were damaged during the passage of Tropical Depression Ida, 50 of which have been restored. Meanwhile, the NWC is reporting that it has collected $900 million in outstanding payments since its disconnection drive started in late 2020. President Mark Barnett says $384 million of that figure was collected between May and July from 9,000 customers whose services have since been restored. He says approximately 20,700 accounts in arrears are currently being targeted.
It may not seem much compared to what our receivables are, but I think with a consistent approach, the effort is definitely going to be bearing fruits in a few months.
Mr. Barnett was speaking during the NWC's virtual quarterly media briefing on Thursday. He assured that the entity will not be disconnecting service to clients whose accounts are in arrears during the no movement days. But customers with arrears are urged to utilize the various payment platforms at their disposal, including the NWC iPay and the online banking portals. 250 farm workers left the island on Friday to take up job opportunities in the United States. They include 150 cane cutter workers. The dispatch is in line with government's plan to grow the overseas employment program from 13 to 30,000 jobs over the next 4 years. Labour Minister Carl Samuda says this is an important opportunity between both countries.
The money that can be earned in the United States is hard currency. And 85% of what you earn as a group across the length and breadth of North America, both Canada and the United States, returns to Jamaica. 85% of it to help your country. And in your own instances, it will help your family. This is a game changer for your lives.
Since the beginning of this year to the end of August, 4,781 Jamaicans have participated in the U.S. Overseas Employment Program, with 3,625 farmers participating in the H-2A program. The Sports Development Foundation, SDF, will be investing $12.3 million in a primary school cricket initiative. This will be developed in 120 schools to get youngsters at the primary age interested in playing the game. The news was revealed by Sport Minister Olivia Grange during a press briefing at Sabina Park recently. She says $4.5 million has been approved to start the project within 30 schools in the last quarter of this year. She says this is one of numerous initiatives being taken by the ministry to give new life to cricket in Jamaica. Another initiative is an all-island under-14 cricket talent search that has been conducted by the Institute of Sports with assistance from Jamaica Cricket Association parish presidents. 32 under-14 players were recruited for the 2022 National Under-15 team. And finally, the bid submission deadline for Phase 1 of the Greater Bernard Lodge Development Project has been extended to September 14. Qualified developers are invited to participate in the competitive divestment process. The Greater Bernard Lodge Development Master Plan spans almost 5,400 acres. It seeks to create a sustainably integrated township that addresses challenges associated with affordable housing, transportation, access to jobs, and services.
The Greater Bernard Lodge Master Plan development will see 15 to 16,000 housing solutions being provided. It will see 1,300 acres of land reserved for small and medium-sized farmers. And it will see some light industrial and agricultural applications as well.
For more information on the bid submission process, visit bernardlodgeja.com, call 876-929-4000, or email info@bernardlodgeja.com. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
There are constant changes being made in government. These are aimed at creating a sustainable and safe Jamaica. Let's find out some of the latest developments inside Jamaica House Weekly next.
Prime Minister announces 5 additional no-movement days and visits vaccination sites in St. Thomas and Kingston. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Anthony Morgan.
The advice of our public health experts is that we need to extend the current measures, the current restrictions for another 2 weeks.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness last Wednesday as he announced the continuation of COVID-19 containment measures from September 3 to 17. He argued that the previous 3 consecutive weekends of no movement had resulted in a reduction of the virus's reproductive rates, moving from 1.4% to 1.1%. The extended measures include another 5 days of no movement from September 5 to 7 and September 12 to 14. Certain categories of workers will be exempted during the no movement days. They include health and security workers, farmers, fisherfolk, factory and BPO workers, finance and transportation service providers, and members of the media.
To allow persons to prepare for the 3 consecutive no movement days. On Friday, September 3, on Friday, September 3 and on Friday, September 10, 2021, workplaces, businesses will be required to close at midday. The list of workplaces and businesses which will not have to close at midday remains the same as the last 2 weeks of no movement days.
Regular curfew hours outside of no movement days will be at 7 p.m. from Wednesdays to Fridays and 6 p.m. on Saturdays. The vaccination program will continue unabated, with certain sites remaining open during the curfew hours and on no movement days.
To be clear, on no movement days, persons will be allowed to seek urgent medical care, and those who have overseas travel plans can make their way to and from the airport.
During curfew and no movement days, frontline workers will be allowed to access food establishments registered under the e-commerce National Delivery Solution ENDS. The public will continue to be served by ENDS up to midnight on no movement days, as well as during curfew hours. In the meantime, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the existing work-from-home arrangements within the public sector will be extended to September 17. He is encouraging private sector entities to follow suit. Arrangements for places of worship remain in place. So too are the rules governing funerals, burials, annual general meetings, and weddings. At Wednesday's virtual press briefing, the Prime Minister announced plans to scale up the island's vaccination drive. The plan includes the contracting of private medical professionals to shore up the number of vaccinators. Inoculation of persons in the education, health, and other frontline sectors will also be prioritized. Mr. Holness says greater partnerships will also be sought with the private sector to increase the vaccination of persons in key sectors such as tourism and business process outsourcing.
We're looking at, the construction industry, financial services, quick services, retail, private security.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says additional oxygen concentrators needed to fight COVID-19 are being procured. The ramping up of the medical-grade oxygen supply is in addition to the ongoing purchase by the Ministry of Health and Wellness, as well as support from the diaspora.
We are on that path in terms of increasing the number of oxygen concentrators. I received a report from the CMO of what is on order, what they have spec'd out to go into procurement, and I personally, through sources overseas, working through our ambassador and through our consul general in New York, we have, I would say at this point, secured some close to 80, 90 oxygen concentrators.
Wednesday also saw the Prime Minister touring the first in a series of community vaccination blitz sites. First stop was made in St. Thomas, where Mr. Holness revealed that 40 wardens will be deployed to encourage greater vaccine take-up.
However, those 40 persons must be vaccinated themselves. They must be vaccinated themselves. Their role will be to go out into the communities. The Ministry of Health will provide them with leaflets and information, and they will go out into the nooks and crannies, into all the communities in Jamaica, give out this information. They will canvass persons who want to take the vaccines. They will work with their Member of Parliament and other community leaders to make arrangements to move people from where they are to the vaccine centers and to generally build community support for the vaccination.
So far, 13% of the island's population have received one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. By Thursday, the Prime Minister was in West Kingston for the community's vaccination blitz.
When you leave here today and you go back home, encourage your friends, encourage your neighbors, encourage your family members, and explain to those who might have some fear and skepticism that the process isn't difficult, it isn't hard, it isn't painful.
Over 1,000 persons were inoculated at the sites set up in West Kingston. Prime Minister Holness also revealed plans to create a cohort of trained professionals to administer the vaccines.
We want to get our retired nurses and doctors. We are going to be asking our diaspora from overseas who may want to come home and assist. And there are many persons who are medically trained and who are nurses who would have left the system. Some of them still maintain their professional accreditation and qualifications. And once they meet the certification level by the Ministry of Health, then we can create this dedicated pool of vaccinators.
And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
You're just walking up and down like my auntie Ruth says. Keep by your mouth, the girl tree. You make you fool, so Liza, pride out yourself.
I've learned that people will forget what you have said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel.
Making the best choice for your child is not always an easy task, especially if that is having to place your child in state care. If this happens to your child and he is placed at the Mount Olivet Boys Home, rest assured this newly upgraded facility is providing its residents with equal opportunities, a safe and creative environment where they can bloom into model citizens of Jamaica. Take a look at this next feature to learn more.
Within a span of just about 3 years, the Mount Olivet Boys Home in the cool hills of Walderston, Manchester underwent a stunning transformation, from a near 200-year-old lodging to a modern architectural charm. This eye-catching edifice is the kind of house within which any family would make a home. The newly built residential care facility for children who are wards of the state represents a significant push towards a world-class childcare sector. It is creating the environment to ensure that the needs of children are met, even when they cannot live with their own families. A caring atmosphere that allows the children to grow and develop their self-confidence and self-esteem through positive experiences. It's not just about shelter, clothes, and food, but also educational and career mentorship, as well as space for play and leisure. The new building comes as a gift from Olympic track star Johan Blake's Why Be Afraid Foundation in partnership with other individuals and organizations. Among them, Redgrave Luxury in the UK, Richard Mille Japan, and the Sandals Foundation. The Why Be Afraid Foundation has been involved with Mount Olivet since it was introduced to the home by the Jamaica Information Service JIS several years ago. In 2009, the JIS adopted the Mount Olivet Boys Home, and the facility remains the agency's main corporate social responsibility project. Following several visits to the home to perform various charitable deeds, the idea emerged among the philanthropists and operators of the facility to create this new dwelling to foster happy and inspired children.
This is going to revolutionize the way how we care for boys at Mount Olivet and in Jamaica on a whole. This new building is going to provide a level of care that has not been seen in Jamaica for a very long time.
Even while periodic paint work was carried out on the old living quarters, these upgrades remained inadequate for the safety, security, and general well-being of the boys.
That old building is difficult to maintain. We're talking about plumbing works, the painting works, the kitchen area. It's just an old building. That was the old church house for the pastor, and it's probably as old as the church, and the church is over 185 years.
Repairs would have been so extensive that the Why Be Afraid Foundation and its partners thought it would not have been practical. And so, the decision was made to design and build a modern, exciting, and inspiring space. A young architect, Jerome Pusey, was engaged for the design, and the construction commenced in November 2019. The COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 made the work extremely challenging, but the local contractor on the project, Pavcon Construction Company, was up to the task, ensuring the boys would be sleeping in their new accommodation by the summer of 2021. Both the old and new dormitories have a capacity for accommodating close to 50 boys, ages 6 to 18 years old. With its bright yellow front door, the new home welcomes the boys to 2 wings, one housing their living space, which towers over 3 floors. The ground floor is for boys up to age 9, with those 10 to 13 years old on the second floor, and the top floor reserved for boys from age 14 to 17.
There is enough space for everyone. As you have seen just now, there's 3 levels. The smaller one will be at the bottom. And just in case we have somebody who is physically challenged, they will stay on the ground floor. And there's space on the second and the third floor.
The other wing of the facility accommodates the working functions of the home. The kitchen, cafeteria, and laundry are on the ground floor. Up a level, and there's a fully functioning computer lab for the boys. There's also a gaming and music room, outdoor balcony, space for visitors, and a kitchen in that space. On the outside is an extensive playground for the boys, with artificial turf, football field, and stages for performing.
We are going to have to do some orientation of both boys and staff as to what we expect. And we have to have a new concept as to how we treat our boys and how we care for boys in a holistic way. Moving into this new space is going to be a whole lot different in terms of to maintain and just a more comfortable space for the boys to live in. The good thing is that the Why Be Afraid Foundation is going to assist us with the maintenance for the first couple of years. So they are now looking at maintenance maintenance services to come in at least once per month to help us with the maintenance, and we will have our local persons here at the home whose duty and job will be specifically to maintain the building.
The old buildings will be retrofitted and converted into a halfway house or transitional pre-independent living facility for those boys who have aged out of the state's childcare system.
We still have boys who are in rented facility that the transitional living program is paying those rent off premises. But this building now will house them, and we're looking at staffing for that building. So we will have space for those boys.
Some of that space will also be used to construct a Heart NSTA Trust certified skills training center.
There's the Sandal Foundation who have shown some interest that we are going to set up a woodwork shop and a welding area. So those boys who are inclined will have an opportunity to learn a skill there in woodwork or welding. And that space will also be open to the general public.
The Jamaica Information Service staff, along with partnering sponsors, continue to support the home's other needs on routine treks to the facility yearly. The JIS makes 3 visits to the home in April, August, and December. On these trips, the agency also incorporates a sports day, career day, back to school, mentorship, and birthday celebration, as well as annual Christmas luncheon and award ceremony. Agency CEO Donna Marie Rowe sees this corporate sponsor initiative as a winning tool to encourage and inspire the children in their care.
As an agency, we felt that it was necessary to become involved in our community. And corporate social responsibility is very key to all of us here as a core value. And usually we talk about giving back and paying it forward.
Rectal bleeding, cramps, and persistent abdominal discomfort can be a sign of colon cancer. It begins in the large intestine and is the final part of the digestive tract. If you are experiencing these symptoms and you aren't so sure if it's time to see a doctor, stay tuned as we provide you with all you need to know about colon cancer and the necessary steps you need to take.
The gastrointestinal tract is a system of organs working together to support the human body. It takes food, digests it, absorbs energy and nutrients, and then removes waste through urine and feces. The esophagus, stomach, pancreas, liver, and colon are all part of this system, and studies show that cancer of these vital organs are becoming increasingly common in Jamaica. One of the leading causes of death among Jamaican men and women is colon cancer. Colon cancer does not discriminate. It's the third most common cause of cancer-related death among Jamaican men and women. But like most lifestyle-related illnesses, you have the power to reduce your risk of developing colon cancer as well as prevent it from occurring. An unhealthy diet, smoking, obesity, alcohol use all increase one's risk for colon cancer.
Everyone is at some risk for colon cancer because everyone has a colon. But some individuals are at higher risk for colon cancer, depending on, for example, their diet or lifestyle. So a diet which is very high in processed meat, a diet which is high in fat, a diet which is low in fiber, these all increase your risk for colon cancer.
Other risk factors include persons with pre-existing medical conditions such as inflammatory bowel disease and ulcerative colitis. The risk level of persons with these diseases increases after 10 years. Therefore, active screening is a necessity. Unfortunately, signs and symptoms of colon cancer often mimic other diseases such as inflammatory bowel disease and irritable bowel syndrome. That's why it's crucial that there's early screening. So visit your doctor if you experience dark or bloody stool, rectal bleeding, diarrhea, constipation, bowel incontinence, or narrowing of the stool that goes beyond a few days, belly pain, anemia, vomiting, or unexplained weight loss.
You can develop a screening protocol in an individual depending on their risk.
It's recommended that colon cancer screening starts between the ages of 45 and 50 years old. The simplest screening tool is a stool test for blood at a local laboratory.
So this is not you looking to see if there's blood in the stool. This is you going to your doctor at the appropriate age. Your doctor sends you to the lab to get a stool sample tested to see if there is a microscopic amount of blood. This is the first sign usually that there is something called a polyp inside the colon. So the polyp is what's known as a precancerous stage. So it's not cancer itself, but we do know that a significant number of cancers will develop in individuals who have had a polyp. And the objective is to find the polyp and remove it before it gets a chance to become cancerous.
If a polyp is found, the next step in the screening process would involve a colonoscopy. In this procedure, a doctor would place a small camera into the bowel to check for the polyp and remove it if present.
We can do other screening tests. The barium enema is not as popular anymore, but it's still possible and is accessible and available, which is an X-ray involving some dye inside the bowel as well to look to see if there's anything growing there. A CT scan of the bowel can also be done as a screening tool to look to see if you have any polyps, which can then be removed at colonoscopy. Outside of screening for the colon, you may also want to try and reduce your risk by modifying your lifestyle. So stopping smoking, reducing your alcohol consumption, and eliminating processed meat in the diet are all important risk factors which can be modified to reduce the risk of colon cancer.
That's all the time we have for you inside Jamaica Magazine today. Want to see more? Then visit our website, jis.gov.jm. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done so already. Remember to like and follow us on all the major social media platforms. And of course, never forget that COVID-19 is still among us. Follow the protocols, vaccinate and stay safe. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson, wishing you a good evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.